Good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of Expansion of Consciousness. I'm your host, Jason Medlock, and whew, it's been a long weekend. But today we have a very special guest that will be coming on with us. But you know how I always talk about changing your mindset, opening up your life to different possibilities. I bring people on the show to expose the audience to different types of modalities, to different types of mindset opportunities to change, to improve, to expand your consciousness. And a lot of people wonder, well, what aren't you a mindset coach, or aren't you coaching too? You sure have a lot of coaches on the show. It's to share the information. It's to share the knowledge. There's no one person that fits everybody. We bring a variety of people with a variety of talents for you and only for you. And tonight, we're going to have Ben Infante. Ben is a master mindset coach. He's a licensed psychotherapist and a keynote speaker. And he has spent over a decade learning and working with thousands of people in varying capacities, including hospitals, clinics, inpatient units, homeless shelters, school systems, and private practice. With an extensive background in psychology, mindset, behavior, neurology, and sociology, he uses his knowledge to help individuals unlock and achieve their unique definition of success. So without any further ado, we're going to bring on Vin right now. Hey there, brother. How you doing, Vin?
I'm good, Jason. How's it going, man?
It's going pretty good. And we briefly talked about sharing information and sharing knowledge to help people expand their consciousness. We're mindset coaches, and we want to help you improve your current situation or add to what you already have just by tweaking things. And you have a wealth of experience. You've done a lot. Can you talk to us a little bit about what got you headed in this journey? You were a New York firefighter, which bravo, we think that you guys rock. But you've had an interesting path that you walked also, Ben, and just want to know a little bit about you and sort of, how you matriculated up through the process of becoming a coach.
Sure. Well, as I think about it and I like to recall it, I think that I've always had that spirit to want to help people.
Yes.
And I think more than help others, the biggest thing is that I wanted to help myself, which I feel should kind of be a big premise for self-development, right? Like if you always heard that, oh, every therapist has their own story, or everybody who's in this field is because they've all gone through something and they want to help other people. But I
Hmm.
think that is really the catalyst. I think the desire to help other people is more so that something that comes about once you figure out how to start overcoming your own stuff because you know what it's like. And you've also come to the realization that if you could get through it, so could other people. And you also probably remember those moments where you felt so helpless and hopeless that all you might have wanted to do was give up. And so when I'm saying you, I'm talking about me. And for anyone who's listening, maybe you're struggling with something, but there is definitely hope because I guarantee there's somebody who's gone through what you have. And if you learn from them, you could potentially get over it. Maybe just like them, or maybe with your own spins and unique twists on it. But that was the bigger catalyst for what really got me into this. I had always wanted to be a therapist because my dad was a therapist, so I was kind of following in his footsteps. And I had always also, as you touched upon, I had always wanted to be a firefighter because that was a childhood dream. Because what guy doesn't want to be like military cop firefighter, right? It's like we want to be the heroes. So
Yeah.
that was a part of it, and that was kind of the mix of how I had started building in my life. And really, what I was trying to aim for was always, essentially, as I think back, it was always a life of service, but I was never truly in love with any specific way on how I would serve.
Wow. We talk a lot about mindset, and we talk about, how people can really improve themselves, whether it be learning to read 3 or 4 books a month
Mhm.
with a different mindset, whether it be, going into a relationship with a different type of mindset to make that marriage work or to make that relationship with the kids work or whatever it may be. So in your opinion, what is growth? What is a growth mindset? How do people move into that particular space?
The best opinion that I would have on that will come at the back of reading the book called Mindset by Carol Dweck.
Mm,
It's a great book, and if anyone hasn't read it, I recommend it. But essentially, what we know as what a growth mindset is somebody who sees a problem but doesn't see a problem. They see it as a challenge.
yes.
And not only do they see it as a challenge, they know that challenges could be overcome. And they're willing to put in the time, effort, and energy to get creative enough to overcome that problem. I've created my own little definition, which I tell all of my clients, and I'm actually under the ideology that you can never actually fix a problem. We don't fix problems, we outgrow them. Because to overcome a problem, you're not actually, if you think about it, you're not fixing it. What you're doing is you're getting something new. You're challenging yourself to expand your capacity, which is allowing you to do what? It's allowing you to grow and expand. And as you grow and expand as a person, the problem no longer becomes a problem because now you've become someone capable of bypassing it. Right. And so I give a stupid example like if we ran out of milk, it's pretty much a minor inconvenience because by now, at least Jason, for you and I, probably at our ages, we understand where to get milk and how to get it, right? We understand it takes a few dollars and we have to go down to the deli or the supermarket or the corner store, whatever we want to call it. So it's not really a problem. That's just a minor inconvenience. But if you and I never knew where to get milk, we would have to do the research. Oh my God, I'm out of milk. What do I do? How do I get more milk? Where does it
Right.
come from? What do I need? All of a sudden, you start kind of getting into the state of maybe panic or questions where you're like, well, what do I do? How do I get more? What do I need for it? These questions will then challenge you to find answers.
Mhm.
This information you're going to gain will then prompt you to take specific actions that you maybe haven't taken before. And so what you're actually doing is you're training yourself to grow. As you grow, now all of a sudden you know what it takes to get milk, you know what you need, you know where to go. Never a problem ever again because you've outgrown it. So we'll never panic over where to get milk ever again because we've outgrown the problem. So it's no longer a problem. Now it's a minor inconvenience. So that's kind of how I teach people one of the best ways of overcoming problems.
And it's interesting because basically create new habits. And when you create those new habits, they begin to take shape. They begin to move you in a different direction of understanding of anything that you're trying to do. And I like your approach because it's different. And sometimes people learn to change differently. And when you create different scenarios or different wordplay to get a person to buy in to make a change. I love it, and it just reminds me of when I'm working with different clients, and I really try to dig in first, Ben, to try to understand their psyche and what do they think about success. I mean, everybody's picture of success is different. What do they think
Yes.
about weight loss gain? Everybody's definition of weight loss is different. So you meeting people where they are to try to understand their psyche
Hmm.
so that we can create these tools in particularly what you just said, create a way that we can shift your perception about going to the store and getting some milk. And if you never gone to the store, we're going to create this habit for you so you can do it. So I mean, brother, I love it. I absolutely love it. And what we try to do, period, is help people gain ownership over the issue or ownership over whatever problem or whatever goal they're trying to attain. You have to create ownership or gain it so that you can make that move. So have you, I mean, do you do things like that, helping people gain ownership over their lives, over their issues? And if so, what kind of success have you had with that?
Yeah, I think that's actually like the whole premise and basis of what I do now as a coach. I saw that a lot of therapy, and I'm just kind of putting a little subcontext in, is
Yes.
that one of the things that got me really bored or over therapy was the fact that I felt like as a therapist, you're really just trained to kind of over validate people. Oh,
Hmm.
no, it's not your fault you feel that way. You were abused as a kid. Oh, no, it's not your fault you still act like a shitty person. It's because your girlfriend cheated on you. Oh, no. You're always going to be stuck where you're at because society has it out for you. There's societal systems made to make you fail. Like, well, what about that person who overcame it? No, that guy, he's the exception. You're not. You're going to stay stuck forever.
Hmm.
And so I started seeing it's like, wow, therapy, I mean, therapy has use. Therapy's good, right? Like we're
Yes.
talking about meeting the client where they're at. That's essentially what therapy is. You meet the client where they're at, and then you help them understand different parts of themselves. But in the aspect of really challenging people to raise the standards of their life and challenging them to become so much more than they are, that's where I believe therapy tends to fail a lot. Because therapy doesn't, in and of itself, for most therapists, challenge people. Most therapists will not step in and challenge, and they'll ask hard questions, but they won't ask the hard question of like, well, what are you going to do about it? They were like, "Well, how could you deal with the pain that person's causing you, and how could you tell them that they're causing you pain, and how could you hopefully get them to stop causing you like, screw that shit. They're gonna cause you pain. How do you deal with it?" And so, as a coach, what I'm aiming to do now as a mindset and performance coach, which is how I name myself, is I aim to get people to master their mindset, unlock their inner leader, perform at a higher level through use of tools such as radical self acceptance, extreme ownership, which I think I could use that word, but I know it was coined by Jocko Willink's book, but it really does have a lot of powerful usage. And getting people to find and look at the 5 aspects of life that you can master, because if you can find at least one of those in any situation, you could start taking ownership and control over it, thus creating a mind shift. Because that's what I call it, right? It's like you're not sitting there with a mindset, you're not developing a mindset, you're developing a mind shift. And that's how you start having different results in life. So it's all about the ownership, it's all about what you can control, because one of the biggest pieces that I also really try to emphasize that you can't fix a problem that isn't yours to fix. So if you're going to keep giving away your power, if you're going to say it's not my fault I'm sad, it's that person, it's not my fault I act this way. It's my ex, my father, my whoever. It's not my fault I act this way or this happens to me. It's society. It's you will forever be a victim. You'll be stuck in your own bullshit for as ever long as you want to believe that. And so my aim is to help you clean up this mess that you've made of all that bullshit. And we're gonna mop the floors and get rid of it and let you see that, hey, this is a nice clean room. Do you want to keep it this way? Because if it does, you have to be responsible to keep it clean. And that's what we do.
And that's great, and I like that, that's straightforward. Let's get this thing corrected. When I think about some of the techniques I use, I may use hypnosis or I may use quantum healing hypnosis and have the client under a deep trance
Mm,
and then pull the higher self out and
mm,
have the higher self converse through the client while they're listening to it on video and audio. They can hear themselves then. And the questions that they give me before I move them to the somnambulistic state, the questions they give me is about whatever they want to achieve and whatever they're looking to get better at and what have you. And it's so amazing when they hear it from themselves that we've told you over and over, you're your own worst enemy. We've told you not to eat as much, but you keep doing it. And when you hear yourself saying this kind of stuff, and you're like, wait a minute, who's that talking? That's you. That's you talking. So everything you're saying, I use modalities, spiritual modalities to pull that out, to ask that to respond to that very question. And also, I try to have something, that I put together to
mm.
expose the weaknesses, to expose things that you better want to, you may want to spend more time on this. Um, but people really, 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 you don't have to coach them like that.
Right.
When they pay for your service at the level that it should be paid for, they're already locked and loaded, Ben, and they're ready. Because when you pay the amount of money that's necessary to get a high level coach like you don't have to tell them to take ownership. That money that they've spent tells you that they're ready.
It is interesting because I have a lot of corporate and executive clients.
Hmm.
The self-owned clients, like, and when I say self-owned, and I'm probably phrasing it wrong, let's just say the entrepreneurial clients who own their own business and
Yes.
they're paying for it out of like the company funds, right? But
Mhm.
it's essentially their, company, right? There's a different weight that comes with that than the corporate clients, because the corporate clients get paid for the coaching gets paid for through the company which they're an employee at.
Mhm.
So it's a different feeling. And it's
Yeah.
interesting because I had a conversation with one of my clients literally today.
Mm.
And her and I were talking about, it's coming towards the end of the package, and we were talking about re-upping. And I'm never one to be concerned or shy from these conversations. If the work is done, the work is done. If the work is to continue, great, let's do that. However, there was something that was very interesting, and the client was talking to me about how the company is in a little bit of a freeze right now, and so it looks like that they might hold off on coaching. I said, okay, no problem. And I thought about that because at first my response was like, let me be accommodating, right? Like, okay, no problem. And I thought about it for a little bit, and then I kind of just told her, I said, it's very interesting because you've told me you got a lot of value out of this, right? You've been looking to work with someone for quite some time, and you finally found someone that you're really enjoying, right? You've mentioned how this has happened. Like she got a promotion, you changed your life, you're more calm, you're more aligned. She used to get sick once, like every few days, almost per week. She hasn't gotten sick in 4 months ever since like we started coaching because now like she's in a better space and her body's not destroying her, right?
Mhm.
So all these amazing positive things. And I said it's very funny because the first thing you said when the company said that they're freezing budgets right now was, "Oh, no, we can't work together anymore." And I said, "It's very interesting because then I also thought about one of the biggest things you struggle with is confidence.
Mm.
And as you struggle with confidence, it all makes sense because you're not willing to invest in yourself." And I even said, "And I'm removing myself from this. You don't even have to work with me. In fact, I would encourage you to go work with someone cheaper if you'd like." I said, "But the reality is that you're willing to have other people invest in you, other people foot the bill for the things you want, but you never jump in and leap and put your own neck on the line, put your own investment and risk your own income or anything for that matter, energy, money, time, right? To get the things you want." I said, "You really want to step into the next stage of growth, even if your company doesn't pay for me, and even if you don't want to work with me because you don't want to pay for me, you need somebody." I said, "Your next stage of growth is you starting to invest in you, not having a company or somebody else invest in you. Now it's your time."
Brother.
So, it's interesting, right?
Well said. And it happens. It happens. And I love that story. I love that analogy because it does happen when you are not. And when I say you, I'm speaking to the audience. When you're not willing to say to yourself, I'm tired of it. I have to do something. I'm going to go find me somebody and pay the money to be with a coach because let's just face it, having a coach is a luxury. If you want to lose weight, you're going to go hire a nutritionist. That's luxury. It costs extra money. If you want to
Yep,
get stronger and get your body together, you go hire a strength coach or at the gym. Those guys cost. It's a luxury to have that type of service.
yep,
And I always say this. I always say this. There are some successful people out there then that do well. I mean, they really do well. But then there are the ultra successful people out there who have a coach, but they'll
yep.
never tell you that.
Yeah, and, I think it's funny because you're right, coaching is a luxury,
Yes.
and everyone needs a coach, and nobody needs a coach at the same time, and I
Yes.
say that because of the fact that there are many points in my life where I don't have a coach because I am, extremely aware I don't need one. There are, however, points where I get a coach where I'm like, "I'm a little stuck and I could use the support now." Right? But I also am someone who sits and I think a lot and I process a lot. And I spend a lot of damn time myself trying to figure my own shit out. And to
Yes.
be quite frank and honest with you, for the most part, I do figure it out. But that's because one, I'm willing to sit myself. Two, I've done a lot of inner work for many, many years. Three, I've already invested hundreds of thousands into my own self education. And
Yes.
four is I have the educational background to know what the hell I'm doing with myself.
Yes. And I totally agree. Uh let's just run through the coaches. I had a spiritual coach that really helped me understand the walk I was going through. I've had a remote viewing coach showed me how to remote view. I've had an associate remote viewing coach, and now I have a coach for my mindset business. I mean, we spending thousands of dollars to improve myself so that I can help others improve. So I know you know the pain. I mean, we've spent money, a lot of money, to perfect this type of technique and to help people deal better with anxiety, deal better with stress, deal better with um, depression. You know, and
Yeah.
speaking of anxiety, have you dealt with clients with anxiety? And I'd like to ask you, how do you even beat anxiety? What's your method?
Well, for one, I was diagnosed with anxiety. I was also diagnosed with panic disorder and depression as a kid because that was the shit I suffered with so much.
Wow.
And that's actually one of the coolest things about where I'm at right now. Just a little sidebar is
Mhm.
it always leaves me so intrigued where back when I was a teenager, I was like as close as you could be to committing suicide without doing it. Like I was self-harming, I was anxious, I was depressed, I was having panic attacks because I couldn't make a decision to save my life. And now I have people that run multi-million dollar businesses asking me what the right decision is. And it's
Incredible.
like not even a humble brag. It's just a moment of gratitude. It's like, wow, like look, you can never convince me. If you go back and talk to my 17-year-old self, you'll never convince me that this is where I'll be in my 30s.
You know what, Ben? You know, a lot of people will, and I mean this in the, you know, the most sincere and way, but a lot of people throw the depression line out there. You know, I was depressed, but I figured out a way to, you know, can you just tell the audience what it's really like to struggle with depression?
Yeah, depending on how bad you have it. So for me, it was I'll just give a quick bridged version. I got bullied my whole life. Um, there's a few things that went on at home. Like my parents were great, but there were some issues with me and my brother and some other things that caused a very out of whack family dynamic. Let's say it like that. I don't really personally talk about my family. I have no intention to do so because that's their stories as well, right? But things were strange at home. I got bullied a lot at school and I had no friends. And it was really, really hard for me because, well, it just destroys every part of you. I had no self esteem, I had no confidence. I was actually like physically ill most of the time where I was having, I would go to school, I would constantly have stomach aches, throw up, diarrhea. Sorry for the graphics, everyone. But my body was just rejecting all of the stress that was constantly being put through. And that was also extremely draining because depression, it beats you up every day, right?
Mm,
But here's the really interesting part that I never knew when I was younger. Depression, there's an actual reason for it. There's really cool research on it. You could check out this research study called the analytical rumination hypothesis, and they talk about where depression started getting developed and why. Because there's actually a positive intent behind every single negative, quote unquote, negative emotion we experience. And so the positive intent behind depression is that it's actually supposed to force you inwards to find resolutions and solutions for the deeper interpersonal issues that you're struggling with. Now, as a 17-year-old kid who's getting bullied every day, thrown in trash cans, can't get a girlfriend to save his life, no confidence, no nothing, all I'm going to feel is hopeless and helpless. I'm going to feel like life might be better if I didn't have to live it. But as you get older and you start having more dichotomy over yourself, it doesn't have to be a life sentence to have depression. So when I say like I've overcome my depression, is two things. One, I've separated it from me. I'm not depression. I have no identity of it. I'm aware that depression is an emotion and that is separate from me and that there's a purpose behind it to help me actually understand and learn something that needs to change in my life. That's one. And number two is that it's still going to come and go every now and then because it has a purpose and it has a reason and you can never fully get rid of it. It's like getting rid of it is ridiculous. You can't, it's like built in like a mechanism. But once you understand it's just an emotion and that too, like everything else will pass, you can understand why the emotion's there and you could use it to benefit you. It's like, well, if you're going to lay in bed because you're too tired and you have no energy and you don't want to talk to anyone, might as well think a little bit. Why am I laying in this bed? And so starting to overcome depression is to really start getting curious about why you even have it in the first place. And no, it's probably not a chemical imbalance. No, it's probably not because of the fact that you're just going to be depressed for the rest of your life. It's because of the fact that you have to figure something out within you, in your heart and your soul. And once you do, that's going to start pushing you out of it.
Wow. I guess that's the same thing as having that victim um personality, victim
Mhm.
mindset, and just pulling yourself out of those situations. And you have to have a willingness to be ready to make a change. None of this
Yes.
happens because it just pops out of thin air. None of this happens. You have to be willing. You have to have a open mindset, and you have to be ready to take on the challenge to take to make that change and create happiness for yourself.
Right.
I mean, you speak about creating happiness. How do you do it?
I think happiness is actually really simple. It's just one of those things that's like as easy it is as it is to do, it's easy not to do. It's like if
Mm.
you same as putting your shoes on. You can either put your shoes on or you don't have to. It doesn't matter.
Right.
And so what I've come to see is happiness is it's boiled down to I think two things, right? One is not getting caught up on the fact that it's a feeling, right? Like if you don't chase don't chase the feeling. Because if you chase the feeling, it's like every other feeling, it's going to fade.
Yes.
So understand that happiness is actually a compilation of continuously doing things that inspire a feeling of happiness or well-being, because I think well-being could easily be mixed in there, right? So if you have 10 things you do throughout the day and 9 of them are things that you enjoy doing, like they promote happiness, you're going to live a pretty happy life. On the other side of it, if you're doing 9 things in life that you hate and you have one thing that makes you happy, you're going to be miserable. It's a very simple process. Look at your life, list out all the things you're doing, and then put next to it, is this thing driving me forward? Is it promoting my happiness or is it draining me and making me feel crappy? And if you find that your crappy list is bigger than your driving and promoting happiness list, you're going to be pretty unhappy. And I bet any amount of money on it. And number two is there's a happiness formula. And the happiness formula is how well does your expectations of life match up to your reality? The further they are, the more pain you're going to feel. However, you could also change two things in there. You either change your reality, you take some damn action, take some responsibility, or you change your expectations because we're in control of both of those. And if you're like, let's just use a relationship, for example. I don't like that my girlfriend doesn't cook or clean. Okay. Do you love your girlfriend though? I do. Are you willing to stay with her even though she doesn't cook or clean? Yes. Great. Then shift your expectations. Or the converse side, are you willing to stay with your girl who doesn't cook and clean? Absolutely not. Great. Break up with her, change your reality. Like it's super easy and simple. People overcomplicate this shit.
You're that cool coach that everybody wants because I'm listening to you. I'm like, well, wait a minute. Maybe I need a mindset coach. Maybe I need to hire Ben.
I got
Hey,
you, Jason.
I want to take care. I want to take a look at something that's absolutely beautiful. I'm gonna have to steal some ideas, but take a look at this thing. I mean,
Mm.
this logo is out of control. I love your logo. Let's talk about it though. Share with the audience what they can expect when they come to your website.
Well, you could expect to check out my beautiful logo, apparently. You can check out the services I have. There are multiple things that I do. I do one-to-one coaching. I have a wait list for the Alliance community, which is a mastery developing community for life and business. I could do workshops and seminars. I could do keynote speaking. So, and then for companies, I don't really put it in there, but I could also do group coaching. So that's an additional service. There's a great photo of me pointing at you. It's actually my favorite part of the website because I'm saying, "Hey, you!" Like I'm calling you out. But I don't know. I insisted that be on the website because it has to be there.
Right.
On the main page, which we actually skipped over, if you click like Vincent Infante, the big name over there, yeah.
Okay.
If you click that and you go back to the main page and you scroll down a little bit, you see the media features I was in, and you'll see this thing, which I'm really, really excited about, is that wheel that
Okay.
Jason's on. That is the 5 aspects of mastering your mindset, or at least how I teach it and what we do together as a team. is we go through these 3 different modalities that I work with people through of therapy, mentoring, and coaching to really work on honing in your internal leadership and your self-mastery. So that gives you a little brief overview. If you go to resources, there's a free resource, which I would love for everybody to snag, actually. It is a great resource. It is my version of a mission board. And quite frankly, it's better than a vision board because one, I made it. And two, I put a lot of time actually developing something that is a lot more intentional. Your typical vision board, people are staring at, it's a beautiful collage, but there's no intentionality behind it. You forget what the hell the pictures even meant within a few months. Usually you spend more time decorating than you do actually planning. And so my mission board is something that is actually created to really intentionally become a powerful tool to start getting you closer towards your goals and your dreams. Because a vision is nice, but a mission is something you can really get behind.
Wow.
And the last
Wow.
stuff is you can just check out bio press and you can contact me.
Wow. Absolutely incredible. I think I'm getting a little embarrassed because your website is so awesome and dope. I mean, absolutely incredible. So you have a bio section right here. You got the press section right here. So if people want to contact you, they can. This guy's been on the New York Weekly, Entrepreneur, International Business Times, Forbes. We're dealing with the real deal. Big time mindset performance coach. It's just wonderful, man. And I love to bring people on that, really understand, how to shift people, how to move people. And there are a lot of different ways to do it. I use spiritual modalities. Some people use their training, as a psychologist or, as a psychotherapist or whatever. But there's so many different ways to teach a person to take that step and then to have
Yeah.
them take 2 steps and 3 steps. And I just enjoy sharing it with people. But let's talk about this, because when you shift your mindset, you got to go make some money. You got to go, buy that new ring for the girlfriend, or go and try to play the lottery because you got this new thinking pattern.
Yep.
So my question to you now, what is a major key to build a business when you're shifting your mindset? I mean, what are the major things in business? Because a lot of people listen to the show, they're business people. Maybe they're woke, but at the end of the day, in this particular reality we're living in, people work and people are trying to get ahead. What's your take on building a strong business?
Have a kid. No. Don't do that if you're not ready. I
Right.
wasn't, but I made it work. Now, I do joke, but my daughter has actually been a ginormous driving force because and so this is a little bit of a seriousness, even though it's kind of a joke. You have a kid, all of a sudden you start realizing like I better become 10 times more than I currently am because that's what it's going to require. And so you actually force yourself to expand. It's pretty beautiful. But for those of you out there that don't want to have sleepless nights and forget what it's like to go out when you feel like it, you could do something simpler than having a kid. I've built my business around finding ways to get people what they're looking for, or better appropriately put as a coach, help people get what they're looking for in a quicker and more unique way. You
Yes.
see, everyone is looking at therapy as a 10 to 15-year investment. Everyone is looking at coaches to do, I actually don't really know what. I have no real crazy background on what a coach is supposed to do or how long they're supposed to do it. But I know therapy is about 10 to 15 years. And I started getting curious about how can I provide more value than I already do as a therapist. And that's when I stumbled upon Tony Robbins. And
Mm,
that's why I went and got my coaching
I love
certification
Tony.
under, and he's the best, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
I sought out the best, and that's where I got my coaching certification. I got it under Tony Robbins. And I said, now, wouldn't it be cool if, in fact, how come there's nobody that combines therapy, mentoring, and coaching? Because it seems like most people will do the three and they'll go to 3 different people, tell 3 different stories, spend more time, right? Like 3 different hours with each person, let's just say, have 3 different responses, 3 different answers, and nobody's getting the full picture.
Mm.
Wouldn't I be able to save people time, money, energy, and effort if I combine the 3 services? And how can I help people get transformation much quicker than a 10-year process or in a 1-year coaching program. So I frequently work myself out of a job, and that's okay. But that's one of the more unique things you want to do if you're a business owner. And it works for coaching, but it also works for pretty much any business, right? How can you be unique? How can you do it faster? And how can you do it with more quality? And don't get me wrong, if you can't figure it out, because there's limitations in some fields, right? Like for instance, I also own a laundromat, side business, right? Fun
Yeah.
stuff. You can't really do laundry faster. Like you're gonna put the clothes in the wash. The wash cycle is gonna be freaking 40 minutes. You can't do it any faster. So maybe instead of looking at how can I do this faster, you could start asking how can I provide better quality when it comes out of the wash? Or can I use higher quality soaps? Can I make it that the customer remembers coming to my laundromat? Can we wrap the clothes a certain way, right? So looking for subtle nuances as a business owner to make yourself stand out and make yourself memorable. I have a memorable approach because you're not going to meet many people that you can go to and say, "Oh, this dude's a therapist, mentor, and coach." You're not going to meet many people that are that. So that's unique about me, which I will definitely upplay. It's like you could try. You're not going to find many, but that's what you could do as a business owner. You ask, "How can I be memorable? How can I provide high quality?" And take it very seriously. Invest in yourself. If you want to be a great business owner, you have to remember your business will never grow bigger than you. And the amount that you grow is directly proportionate to how much you invest in yourself, whether that
Yes.
be time or money or energy or just anything that you're doing to help grow, because you are a direct reflection and extension of your business. So if you're stuck in business, look inwards. You're actually stuck in here. Once you clear that crap, your business will grow, and I'll guarantee it.
And it all brings me down to this last question. Just hearing you talk, the clients you've worked with, the media attention you've garnered, you have a great way of expressing yourself to people. You have a great way of listening. Obviously, you wouldn't have the level of clients. How do you communicate with people better? How can you help the audience communicate better with others? Because let's just face it, there are a lot of people out there with different goals
Mm,
that are talented,
yep.
but they don't know how to communicate well with others. They don't know how to recognize being rude or coming across a certain kind of way that rubs the other person the wrong way. How do you communicate better with others, and how would you express this to our audience?
Communicating well with others is just looking for what people either need to hear or want to hear. And
Yes.
sometimes it's a combination of the two. Sometimes they want to hear what they need to hear. Sometimes they want to hear something they don't need to hear. Sometimes they need to hear something that they don't want to hear, right? So it's one of the three. But when you create moments for people that could get them to maybe say wow or ooh or ah, and you pique their curiosity, what you're actually doing is there's an interesting science in this, right? Is that they show if somebody is learning something, like if you've activated their curiosity, they're more likely to remember you because of the fact that we get so accustomed in the way our brain works is that we run so subconsciously. Like we're accustomed to things. If you've seen a show 1,000 times, you're not even going to watch the show anymore because your brain already knows what's going to happen so well that there's no reason for it to pay attention. So when you're speaking and you're talking to people, and if you're the one that's speaking specifically, you want to try and drop moments where their brain actually has to actively listen because that gets them into a state where they can stay receptive so that they can receive the information you're getting without it being some boring bullshit that they've already heard. And the other piece of it, when you're listening to people, and this is a very simple process that people really lose sight of, just listen to understand. And I give everyone this golden rule. If you cannot repeat back to the person what they said, just as good, if not better than they said it to you themselves. You did not hear them and you did not understand what they said and ask them to repeat it. Because if you can get someone to feel like they are truly understood by you, you will have the ability to influence them like you've never seen before. Because all people are looking for is to be heard and understood. And then there is a way that you can be candid. But again, a lot of research will show you can't be candid until somebody feels safe enough. And they're not going to feel safe enough if you don't show that you care or understand. So I hit my clients with a lot of damn love before I tell them you have to stop believing your own bullshit. But I
Mm.
will repeat back to them what they say. I summarize. That's a technique in cognitive behavioral therapy. I summarize what they say. I repeat it back. I'll tell them, listen, this is like out of love. I'll prep them sometimes if they need it, but I'll also give them the candid truth. And when they believe that it truly is out of love, that's where some real damn work happens. So if you want the ability to influence people in your life, sum it up in those 3 points. Listen, listen better than you respond, right? Listen to understand, summarize so that they feel understood, and then hit them with some love and communicate clearly and directly. And that will help you with your influence game.
NLP at its finest, neuro linguistic programming, and it seems like you have it down packed. Ben Infante, let me move you to the back. It was great. We had a great conversation, ladies and gentlemen. Ben Infante. Let's just before we go, we're going to go ahead and put his website here: www.vincentinfante.life. www.vincentinfante.life. Go and check out this mega coach. Go and check Ben out. No, seriously, just incredible patience, strong delivery. I love it, man. I'm a fan. I'm gonna move you to the back office. Stay there. I want to talk to you a little bit. It was great. Give me 1 second and I'll be right back with you. Wow. And we want people like Vin to come on. I mean, Vin is major. I'm so glad he accepted the invite to come on and share, some of his coaching techniques, share what he does with his clients and how he improves the mindset. Just speaking about, what is a growth mindset? How can people gain ownership? Those are the things that Vin is really, really good at. And maybe he'll be good for you. I'm a mindset coach. I've had spiritual coaches on. I've had tapping coaches on, other mindset coaches. You have to find what's best for you. You have to find the perfect fit to you. If you're dealing with anxiety, if you're trying to become a better leader, maybe you're struggling with depression, maybe you're trying to get out of the victim mindset mode, or maybe you're trying to remove subconscious money blocks. That's what coaches do. That's how coaches can help you. There are a lot of different techniques that a lot of different coaches use. You just have to figure out which one is the best for you. I am Jason Medlock. I'm your host of the Expansion of Consciousness, and I want to thank you for being with us tonight. One last thing, subscribe. Go to YouTube. Our shows are live on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Just press subscribe at Expansion of Consciousness. That's how you can find us, at Expansion of Consciousness. And we just love to have you hit subscribe, so that it helps the channel grow. It helps us grow, and it allows me to continue to bring you this fabulous content, something that can help all of us, even you. I'm going to leave with these last words. Trust, discover, relax. Thank you very much, and we'll see you guys soon. Goodbye.